Hello, this is a bite-sized presentation on the probe feature called peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer or P2P is a common feature, but is not always available. Use the "-dump props option to check to see if the peer-to-peer properties are available before attempting to use peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer allows event resilience by forwarding only one set of identical events to the object server. The failover to the slave probe may result in some duplicate events being sent to the object server, but there should be no event loss provided the two probes' data streams are in synchronization. Identical event sources and equivalent probe server resources are required for successful peer-to-peer configurations. In the diagram, two probes are configured for peer-to-peer. Event data is sent from two identical event sources, event source A and event source B. Provided the master probe is reachable by the slave probe will discard its events. The peer port on the master is checked every beat interval. If the master port is not available, the slave probe will forward all of its events in its buffer until the master probe's peer-to-peer port becomes available again. The peer-to-peer properties are shown here. Mode is either master or slave, with the peer host being set to the remote probe server's IP address. The peer port should be a port that is free to use on both the master and slave servers. In a firewall environment, this port needs to be opened between the master and slave servers. The beat interval should be set to a suitable value related to how quickly the probes are required to respond to the probe failure. The beat threshold relates to how much time in seconds the probes should allow for a response from a peer-to-peer ping. In this example, the master probe pings the slave probe every 30 seconds and allows 3 seconds for a response. The beat interval and beat threshold must be set to the same value on the master and slave probes. If the master probe is busy, just as the slave probe pings the P2P port, and the probe does not respond within 3 seconds, the slave probe will log that it is forwarding its events. If this happens whilst the master probe is working normally, the beat threshold needs to be increased. You can use an equation to determine the values for the beat interval and beat threshold. The maximum delay allowed for sending events should be equal to or greater than the sum of the beat interval and the beat threshold plus 1 second, where the beat interval is always larger than the beat threshold. For example, the minimum delay is 4 seconds. Therefore, 2 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4 seconds.